Hi, my name is Adam Carter, and today I'm going to be presenting my Terrapin game collection management and administration tool that I've created as part of the Advanced Software Engineering class at UMKC for the Spring 2015 semester. So what we're looking at here is the home page that you would come to when you first head to the site. Uh, the site has a very strong Terrapin theme in reference to University of Maryland, which is where I graduated from. Um, but so I'm going to log in. There are two different modes in which users can interact with the system. So the first I'm going to show is the administration path. Now the administration path is useful for managing a lot of our game collection data that comes from outside sources. Most of the data sources that we read from for this project do not have an RSS feed or any way to actually push information out. So I've had to create an agent system that pulls that data in automatically to our system. And sometimes there are difficulties in matching those collection items correctly. So what you see on this page is a list of statistics that show you all of the games that our system is tracking. So for example, there are 150,000 board game entries that exist. Now let's look at some of these that have discrepancies. What we'll see here is a page that shows games that I had a difficult time identifying for whatever reason. In this case, it's because this game has multiple publishers. So in order to approve this game, I have to choose which of these publishers is the correct publisher, which is Mayfair Games. So once I approve the game, then the game will be recorded in the system and allowed to be processed further by the agent process in the background. Now there are some vendor sites as well where data is feeding in from these sites on an automated basis. And sometimes we can't match the game entry to the game itself from the vendor because the vendor will change something in the name. They'll change a colon to a hyphen or whatever. So when we're looking at entries here, the way that I can identify and map these is by trying to find the game name in the system, which in this case, the Orphan Black card game does have a match. So once I approve, we'll see that that item's been recorded. So the main two vendors that we're looking at right now are Cool Stuff Incorporated and Miniature Market, who are the two largest vendors for board games. Um, and so that's just about it for the administration portal. Um, if I wanted to, for instance, let's say I know there's a particular game I'm interested in and I know it hasn't been matched, I can go into the system. Let me look at Cool Stuff Inc. Um, and try to identify the entry here by hand. In this case, we can see that its review status is still pending, so I'm going to try to find the matching game entry and link this one. So when we go back in as a user, I'll show how those things are now reflected in the system. So I'm going to log out, and this time I'm going to log back in as a collection owner. Now the site that I'm looking at when I first log in shows a bunch of statistics for the games that I am currently owning or interested in. So we see some collection stats. I happen to own, at this point in time, 21 games and 16 expansions in this collection. So there's some other things that are being reported here. The game mechanisms, such as dice rolling or hand management or deck building, are some possible examples. Favorite game designers and game publishers. You also see a list here of the most recently acquired games, and then games that were most recently added to the player's wish list. So let's take a look at my collection. What you see here is a list that shows all of the games that a person owns. And it shows here some basic statistics about the game, the number of players, the playing time that would take to play this game, the number of expansions that exist for the game, just to give you a quick overview of what this game is and where it fits in your collection. If I want to look at more information about a particular game, like let's say I want to look at Panic on Wall Street, I can click on the View Game button here and it takes me to a much more detailed view of this game. Um, Here I see all of the information that is available and I'm allowed to make changes to this game. So let's say I know from experience that playing Panic on Wall Street typically takes more than 30 minutes. I can come in here and edit the time to now make it 45 minutes as the maximum playing time. And I know this is a social game and it's a medium weight game. So once I've made these, I can save my changes. This is going to make sure that these changes are persisted only on my version of this game and not for all users of the game. This allows me to make changes and customize my data in a way that doesn't impact other users. And if we scroll down here, there's other information we can see. We can see the game description. If there is price information available, like in this case, this game is already available in Cool Stuff Inc., or has already been mapped, but it is out of stock. Um, so that's the items from a collection. Now let's say I've decided I'm not a big fan of Takenoko anymore. I'm going to sell this game. So I can click this button to remove it from my collection, and I'm prompted to confirm whether I want to do that. Once I do, it is now taken out of my collection. Um, Now, many games have expansions. So let's say now with Boss Monster, for which I own one expansion, Tools of Hero Kind. Let's say I want to remove this game from my collection. When I click here, it's going to ask me to confirm whether I want to just remove the single game itself or whether I want to remove the game and all of the expansions I own for that game. In this case, I'm just going to get rid of all of them. I'm probably never going to play Boss Monster again. Um, so now we see that both the game and its expansion game were removed from my collection. Now let's go take a look at the wish list. Wish list is a set of games that the user here has identified. I'm interested in these games. I want to pay attention to price information for these games so that I can buy them at some point in the future. Um, so for example, I've added a bunch of Star Wars miniatures starships, including the some of the ships we looked at earlier. Right here, you would see if there is any price information associated and what the current state of that is. So for example, this K-Wing expansion is accepting pre-orders. Now let's say I want to go back and find that TIE Phantom that I added data for previously. I can search for that game. Here it comes up, and we can see that here is the Cool Stuff Inc. price data at the bottom that I just associated earlier. Um, Now, if I want, I can actually click this button here, and it will take me to the vendor page itself where I could buy the game if I wished. Um, but I don't have the money to do that right now, so I'm going to add it to my wish list. I can do that just by clicking the button up here, which is going to add the game to my wish list. And if I head over there, I can now see that it is the newest item on my wish list. Now, the last feature I want to talk about for user collection is trying to do something with all of this collection. So in real life, I probably have over 100 games and expansions. Trying to pick a game to play can be very challenging. So this allows me to provide some criteria and sort through my collection to generate recommendations. So let's say I really want to play a deck building game, and I wanted to be able to play 5 players. Um, so at this point, and I only want 3 recommendations. I click the Generate Recommendations button, and it shows me these are 3 games that satisfy this criteria in my collection. Um, Now, if I want to say, maybe I'm not so sure about the player count, but let's leave the number of recommendations the same. I can generate this, and it comes up with a completely different entry. Um, it's trying to match games in my collection based on not only satisfying this criteria, but when it's sorting, it's using date of acquisition as one of its sort criteria. So the thought being, I want to play my newer games before the older games. So that's it. That is the Terrapin Game Collection Management and Administrative System. Thank you.